Tired from you?
What?
You're not tired from me?
Tired from you? No. I'm actually clearly not tired of you or anybody else. If I'm tired, it's because I'm not sleeping good.
Я могу забыть перчатки.
Interesting. Hello, make yourself at home. We are trying to join forces today. Sit right here. Welcome. Okay. We know that in the book of Tehillim, we know that in the book of Tehillim, you ran away. If you would sit here, I would have to give you the same promise. In the book of Tehillim, there is a chapter called chapter 90 that we actually recite twice a week. Okay, just a second. I had a second, 1 second.
Yes.
Yeah, twice a week on, twice a week on Shabbos. Once we said Shabbos morning on page 186, it starts with the word Tfilah LeMoshe, a prayer of Moses, Isha Elokim, the man of God. Very beautiful prayer. The same prayer later continues into chapter 91. Another prayer. Now, what happens is that same two chapters of Tehillim, one starts Tfilah LeMoshe, one starts Yoshev B'Seiser, you dwells in the shelter of the Most High. That same prayer we are also reciting on Saturday night. After Arvit, after we finish the evening prayer, which is Arvit, which this is usually the beginning, so-called, of the week. So after Amida, usually we go straight to Aleinu. That's it. Amida. Arvit is a very short prayer, right? Originally, Arvit was not even obligatory. Arvit, evening prayer, was originally optional. It was only later that the people actually somehow established it as an obligatory prayer. And it also has to do with the fact why prayers are on their time they are. And the Talmud teaches us that morning prayer corresponds to the morning daily offering. Afternoon prayer represents the afternoon daily offering. Now, what happened at night? At night, sometimes, not always, but many times, probably more times than others, they used to burn on the altar all the leftover parts, limbs and fats, which was left over from the daily sacrifices. Okay? So they used it at night. It wasn't obligatory. If you finished all the burnings and the offerings before sunset, so you close shop. That's it. They went for coffee. But if there were extra sacrifices that they had to take care of, at that time is when they used to what? Offer it later at night. So the Talmud says, corresponding to that offering is what we daven in the evening prayer. So you can see clearly the difference between morning and afternoon versus evening, that morning and the afternoon it is obligatory. And in the evening it is actually optional. And it's important. That difference makes a difference. That difference actually makes a difference, which happened to me exactly 20 minutes ago. What happened to me 20 minutes ago? I was davening Ma'ariv, 7 o'clock, I davened evening prayers at home. And when I daven the evening prayers, tonight is also Rosh Chodesh. the new month of Adar starts tonight. So tomorrow and Friday is actually the new month of Adar, 2 days Rosh Chodesh. On Rosh Chodesh, you have an insert in the Amida. It's called the Ya'aleh Ve'yavo, a special insert that we ask for God to remember us on the day, which is the new month. It should be a healthy, happy month, etc. Now, what happens if you forget to say Ya'aleh Ve'yavo? What?
It is not necessary to repeat it.
Oh, so in the morning and in the afternoon, since it's you are obligated to pray, and your prayer was lacking its element of tonight, of the day, Rosh Chodesh, so you have to repeat the Amida. If you make a mistake, you have to say it over again with Ya'aleh Ve'yavo. But in the evening, since the prayer altogether is not so obligatory as Shacharit and Mincha, so therefore, if you forget to say Ya'aleh Ve'yavo, you don't have to repeat. You don't have to repeat. And that's what happened. I confess. I hope you can atone me. I davened Ma'ariv and I forgot Ya'aleh Ve'yavo. After I finished the Midah, I remember, oh, it's Rosh Chodesh. So that's the halacha over here. I hope you didn't daven Ma'ariv yet, so you can still say Ya'aleh Ve'yavo, all of you. So anyway, so this is what we daven during every week. We finish Shabbat. The first prayer after Amida, we have an insert in honor of the weekend, which is reading the last verse of chapter 90. V'i Noam Hashem Elokeinu Aleinu, and the chapter, which we said before, chapter 91. We're only reading the last verse of chapter 90, but in the morning davening, we read the full chapter 90 and full chapter 91 of Tehillim. How does chapter 90 begin? I told you before, Tefillah leMoshe Ish Elokim, a prayer of Moses, the man of God. Obviously, the fact that we say that line of the last line of that chapter every Saturday night, it must be there's something important and significant about that line. So last year, if I remember correctly, we did discuss it a little, and we will continue discussing it today. This week's Parsha, Parshas Pikudei, this is now all coming to a final conclusion. What happens is, the Mishkan is coming to its materialization. It's becoming practically constructed. First we had the order and Parshas Truma and Tetzaveh and Kisisa, was 3 parshiyas that the information was shared to Moshe, what to make, how to make, who should be a part of it, what do I need for it, this contribution, that contribution, this is the measurements, this is the curtains, this is the structure. The Mishkan, a home for God. Last week, Vayakel, Moshe gathered all the Bnei Israel, all the Jewish people, and he told them all the information that we read in the 3 weeks before it, preceding it. This is what God wants, this is what he needs, this is what he's looking for. And we also read about the response to that call, an overwhelming response by the community. Comes this week's Parsha, Moshe gives an accounting, how much we raised, what it's going for.
This is in the desert.
In the desert, all in the desert. This is just 6 months after the Exodus. We are still in the desert of Sinai, no Israel, no Jerusalem, no story of spies, Gornish mit Gornish. It's a tabernacle which was to be built in the desert, a place for the Shekhinah to dwell. That's what God said. Ve'asuli migdash, make me a sanctuary. Ve'shachanti betocham, and I will dwell in your midst. I'm going to be present with you, but I need that place. And he told them, I want a menorah, I want an ark, the tablets inside the ark, I want the cover of the ark, the kruvim, I want an altar, I want a courtyard, what type of wood. Everything was very clear, very specific to the detail. This is what we discussed in the last 5 weeks. This week called Parshat Pikudei. Pikudei means the counting of the contributions and how everything was done. and how everything was prepared, and what it was used for, etc., etc. And now what happens is construction is taking place. And Betzalel is the head, what do you call it, the project manager of the program of building the Mishkan. Together with them is a man with the name of Eliav from the tribe of Dan, joining forces. Everybody's involved in building it. They present it all to Moshe. This is the menorah, this is the table, this is the lever, the lever for the water, this is the sinks, right? Everything is being brought to Moshe. And this is what this week's Parsha talks about. If you open this week's Parsha, Parsha's Pikudei, that's exactly what the Parsha talks from beginning to end, is this idea on page 530, how they count, first of all, the gold and the silver and everything else. And then you see, everything is, like you say, page 532, verse 1, what does it say? And what happened? They made the holy garments, and just like Hashem commanded it. And it goes into a detailed description how the garments were made.
But where did they get all the material?
Oh, you missed it a few weeks ago. They got gold, they got silver, they even got wood that they schlepped out of Egypt. We went
But
through
they
it.
didn't have time to get bricks, but they did get all.
Exactly, they came out of Egypt very loaded. The Torah told us that when they walked out of Egypt, they were walking out, it says, berechush gadol, with great wealth. They took a lot of suitcases, and donkeys were carrying gold and silver and copper, a lot of belongings from the Egyptians that they took both during the time of the plague of darkness, and then they even got more at the splitting of the sea, because when the Egyptians drowned and the ocean spit them out, so they were also unloading their golds and silvers and taking it along with them. So they had a lot. They gave up their own jewelry. The Torah said last week. So everything is being brought. Take a look, for example, on page 535, the last three verses on the page. Verse 33. Vayaviu et hamishkan el Moshe. And they brought the tabernacle to Moshe. What did they brought? Et ha'oel, vet kol kilav, the tent, and all its utensils. And then the next verse is the covers. And then on verse 35, et arona idud ved badav, the ark of testimony and its staffs, the kaporet. And then the next page, 36, et hashulchan, the table. Verse 37, ta menorah teorah, the golden candelabra. Mizbach haza'ah, verse 38, the gold altar. The kior, everything is being brought. And what happens? Comes verse 43 and says, Vayar Moshe. And Moshe saw et kol ha-melacha. What did he saw? The entire work. Unbelievable, they did it. Ve'inei asu ota kasher tziva Hashem ken asu. Perfect. They had done it as Hashem had commanded. So did they done. They did everything like Hashem commanded them. No glitches. No issues. A cold beat yuk, everything perfectly straight. Vayevarech otam Moshe. So Moshe blessed them. What kind of blessing? What do you say when somebody does what you ask for? Yasher koach. Right? What did Yasher koach mean? Toda rabah, thank you. We have a custom in our shul. The Kohanim are blessing us every holiday. When they walk down the bima, what do we tell them? Yasher koach, Kohen. Thank you, Kohen. Somebody gives you something, you say Yasher koach. Someone offers you something, you say Yasher koach. Seemingly, that was the bracha that Moshe gave them. Vayevarech ha'isa Moshe. But we have a midrashic reference called Torat Kohanim. This is like Talmud, but in the format of midrash. Torat Kohanim. Rashi quotes many times information from that Torah Kohanim. This is a part of the Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral tradition. So Rashi brings from the Torah Kohanim what was exactly the blessing that Moshe told them. It wasn't just Yasher Koach. Those who read Rashi, or actually you have the translation of Rashi in your footnote on 43. If you see footnote on page 537, footnote 43, you can see the footnote on the verse 43, you can see what was the blessing. And Moshe blessed them. Amar lahem, he said to them, Yehi ratzon shetifshre shchina b'maaseh yedechem. May it be God's will that the Shechina rest upon your handwork. And then he said to them also a verse. What's the verse? V'yi noam Hashem Elokenu alenu u'maaseh yadenu konena alenu u'maaseh yadenu koneneu. The verse from Tehillim chapter 90. May the pleasantness of my Lord our God be upon us. Our handwork may be established for us. Our handwork may He establish. And this is, says Rashi, from the song composed by Moshe. Tfilah leMoshe, Ish Elokim, chapter 90 in Tehillim. Moshe Rabbeinu composed 11 songs, starting at chapter 90, going all the way to chapter 101. This is songs that we say, most of them we say Friday night. Shirul Hashem Shir Chadash, Shirul Hashem, Hashem Alach Tagel Haaretz. This is from the 11 Psalms that was composed by Moshe. And Psalm number 1, which starts actually with the word Tfilah leMoshe, Ish Elokim, a prayer by Moshe, the man of God, ends with this verse. V'yi noam Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem's pleasantness should be upon us. That was the verse that Moshe blessed the Jewish people at the completion of the Mishkan. Interestingly, if you pay attention to these two so-called blessings he gave them, so the first one is what did it say, the first one? May it be God's will. This is, we always say a prayer, Yehi Ratzon. Yehi Ratzon means may it be His will. Shetishre Shechina, that the Shechina should rest where? B'maaseh Yedeichem. What is Yedeichem? Upon your hands. He is not including himself in that. They did the work, right? Like it says in the verse. Moshe saw everything that they did. So they did the work. They presented it to Moshe. So Moshe gives them the blessing. Listen, you did a good job. Now, my blessing is that the plan was what? Why was it all built? That the Shekhinah should come down and dwell. So I'm giving you the blessings that you should accomplish that purpose and the effort that you put in building this Mishkan. In your hands. What is he following it? With another verse that he is now composing. What does the verse say? May the pleasantness of God, of my Lord, be upon whom? Us. What is the us? Why doesn't he say upon you, like he said before? Just like he said before, the Shekhinah should dwell in the work of your hands. So he should also say, now, may the pleasantness of God be upon you. You are the ones who did it. You are the one who worked it. You are the one who accomplished it. What is the us? What changed from them, you and us? Especially, Moshe really was not a part of the commandment to build a Mishkan. You know that? Moshe wasn't, he didn't have to contribute. God did not ask Moshe to build a Mishkan. If you read the story carefully from beginning to end, you will see that Moshe is not even a part of it. He is not building the Mishkan. What did he contribute? What did he contribute for the Mishkan? Anybody knows? He didn't contribute.
Was the project manager?
No, The project manager was actually not Moshe. Maybe he wanted, but it was Bezalel. He was only delivering the plan and the instructions of what to do. He had no involvement. You thought about it? There's a simple reason for it.
He put together this.
What do you mean you put together? Where do you see it? So far, when the Torah tells us about building the Mishkan, contributing to the Mishkan, Moshe is not a part of it. We'll come to in a moment to what Aram Chaim said. But he's not a part of it.
But if they come to him to show him,
Right.
obviously he had some.
He gave the
participation.
instructions, so they brought it to him to see, did we build it according to the instructions?
So that's his contribution
No.
to make
He
sure.
was just bringing a message, and now he's confirming that you did it according to the message. But why shouldn't he be a part? Doesn't he need the Shekhinah to dwell amongst you? God asks us all to be a part of it because we need to bring the Shekhinah down. Moshe does not have to bring the Shekhinah down. Doesn't he want to be a part of the Mishkan? The answer is, on a simple level, no, he did not need it. Why not? Because if you remember, if we go back to a few weeks ago, the Mishkan was a response to what? Oh, to the golden calf. That's what they respond. They were asking to be atoned. God says, okay, after begging, after discussing, I am ready to atone you. And what's the statement of my atonement? Make me a Mishkan, I'm coming down. Was Moshe a part of the golden calf? No, he wasn't a part of the golden calf. He doesn't need a Mishkan. More than that, a place for God to dwell, there was a place called Ohel Moed, tent of meeting. That was Moshe's house. That was Moshe's tent. That's where God met with them constantly. So he has his own, he pitched a tent. In that tent, God is very comfortable. He feels himself at home. Moshe is on the mountain when the whole story of the golden calf is taking place. So he's even not a part of it. When it comes to build a Mishkan, guys, this is what God wants from you. And they did a great job. But suddenly, Epes Aleinu, and us too. What is he asking Aleinu? So here comes an insight, what Rabbi Chaim mentioned, which is discussed by Rashi more in length on one of the verses, on verse 33. And the verse says, and they brought the Mishkan to Moshe. And they brought it to Moshe. Why did they brought it? Yeah. On verse 33, on page 534. They brought it to Moshe. Why did they brought it to Moshe? So we have a beautiful Rashi. And it's actually in the footnote of bottom of page 535, in the bottom, the right column. Says Rashi from the Medrash, the workmen could not erect the tabernacle because of its massive weight. There was a miscalculation. I remember when they were building the shul. So they built this frame, and it's what do you call it? Nailing the platform, whatever it's called, the wood to it. They were building it on the ground. This is a pretty tall, it's like 10 feet or more, 20, I don't know. The shul part. And then, after building it, now they have to lift it up, right? Lift it up. It was more difficult to lift up than the actual construction. Because here you have to lift up a massive, and this is just, some plywood with beams. You can imagine when they came to the Mishkan, which was very tall, and his measurements, and it was gold.
3 pounds of gold and 9 pounds
Exactly.
of silver.
So it says that the workmen could not erect. Everything was good, but we can't put it up. It's lying on the ground. Thank you. And since Moshe, it says Rashi, had not had a share in the actual work of the tabernacle, so God wanted him to have the honor of erecting it. But seeing how heavy it was, he asked God, how can anyone erect it? God told them to make an attempt, and the tabernacle would stand on its own, as it is said, as if he had put it up. It's another miracle in the story of the tabernacle. How do we get to that? Where is the allusion? Where does the verse allude to the fact that, Hocus Pocus had got up? Says Rashi from the Medrash, therefore the Torah states in the passive voice. The Torah says on chapter 40, verse 17, Ve'ukama Mishkan. The tabernacle was erected. Not ve'ekim, not that he erected it. It was ukam. Ukam means me'atzmo. To imply, although Moses tried to erect it, it stood up by itself miraculously. So now is what you have over here is that at the end of the story, Moshe did not build the Mishkan. When we talk about the work of your hands, what does it say? May the Shekhinah rest, dwell in the works on whom? On your hands. Because I did not put any work. You brought gold, you brought silver, you banged nails, you schlepped beams. Everything was a part of your work. You hunted animals to get their skin, their hide. A lot of work was involved. Slaughtering the animals, making it into curtains. Right? All that we learned. Took a lot of effort. Many people had to be involved, men and women. You remember last week, the women were spinning the wool. It was unbelievable work. It was a massive operation. All the time, whose handwork is involved in building the Mishkan? The Jews, not Moshe. That's why he tells them, may the Shekhinah rest on the work of your hands. But then it came a moment later, I'm also a part of it. Without me, it would have never stand up. I organized it. Yes, it was a miracle, but God told me, come on, you put your hand first, and that's how miracles work usually. Human effort, the minimal, and God comes and takes care of the rest. The Hanukkah story. How did Hanukkah story happen? The story is not that suddenly the candle started lighting without oil. Abyssal oil. And the miracle was that it little expanded into much more. Right? You ever heard a miracle about a person who had no hand, suddenly a hand started growing out of his body? Even in the shows that you watch from time to time? Never saw such a miracle, right? But you saw a miracle of someone's hands never paralyzed and it started shaking. God doesn't create, we don't have this type of miracles of a new invention. Taking something existing with minimal energy and re-energizing it, changing its course. Taking vinegar and instilling in it the power of oil. This type of miracles happens. And you had to add history. Here too, God says, Moshe, you got to do something. I'm not making it stand up. But after all, Moshe made it little something. So because he made it little something, therefore when it came to the next part in the blessing, what does it say? May the pleasantness of God dwell upon us. Because now I'm also a part of it. Sorry, I wasn't involved in that, but I'm a part of it. I helped. I helped. I'm a big part of it. Aleinu. This is how the two parts in the Aleinu, not Yedeichem. Aleinu, and us. Because now I'm with you. And that is the beauty of the Mishkan. The Mishkan. Everything could be done. You can accomplish whatever it is. You can build it. You can contribute towards it. Everything. But when it comes to the bottom line, you have to wait for Moshe. Moshe is the one, the leader, the Rebbe, who comes in and he brings it all to, what do they call it in English? Brings it to closure. He cements the deal. Aher, ahin, contribution, working. Now the bottom line, you need to have the power of Moshe. Why is the power of Moshe so necessary? So we have an insight which is shared in the Talmud. The Talmud speaks about Moshe. Moshe had a very tremendous divine gift. That everything he came in contact with lasted eternally. In the words of the Gemara, Maise Yedei Moshe Nitzchihim. He was a godly man. Isha Elokim, like we said before. And he had the divine gift, the godly power, that something he does, he's involved, it never gets canceled. It can get deviated, it can get smashed, it can be, reconfigured, but it doesn't change according to the conditions of time and place, because God doesn't change. And when you're representing God, you deliver and you represent a message of eternity. This is actually the story why Moshe wanted so much to go up to Israel. And God told him, you can't, but I want you to come up the mountain and look at it. And his eyes, his fiery eyes, energized Israel also with the holiness of eternity. That Israel is always holy and always will be a home for the Jewish people, because Moshe had a part in it. The Torah is eternal. Even Korach's descendants, what was their declaration after they respond of God to the Machloket? What did they say? Moshe emet, v'torato emet. What is the definition of Moshe? Moshe is truth. And the Torah of Moshe is truth. It's all about truth. Emes. Emes is eternal. And the Mishkan is forever. The Mishkan was moved and transported from the desert to a place called Nov, to a place called Giv'on, to a place called Sheila, to a place called Gilgal. 300 years it was in Sheila. Many years before it came to Jerusalem. But it's the same Mishkan. Eventually it came to Jerusalem, and the Mishkan became a home. 410 years, and then another 420 years, until today. The place of the Temple Mount, the Mishkan, the tabernacle with studio, the ark, which was there, and according to the Rambam is still there, somewhere on the ground, is representing the eternal existence of that holy place. Jews are being drawn to that wall, and non-Jews alike. Everyone is being pulled to that wall. What's that wall? The Kotel. It's remnants. This is left, whatever was left to us from that holy site, but it was left. We never have we never have an idea of the Mishkan disappear. The Mishkan didn't disappear. It didn't disappear because Moshe had his hand on it.
The Mishkan was too heavy to erect, but it had to be also carried. How does that work?
There was wagons. There was a special tribe. If you're going to come later in the Parsha, in the book of Bamidbar, it's going to be in the summer. So you got to come in later.
Okay.
But there was a special tribe, the tribe of Levi. He had 3 sons, and one of them was in charge. They were all in charge of the transportation of the Mishkan. Some of them did beams, some of them carried the ark, some of them carried the utensils. It was an all organized program, but it was on wagons. And these wagons, as we're going to see later, that actually came from the gifts given by the leaders of the tribes, which is not even mentioned in this week's Parsha. Their gift came a little later in the day. That is going to be mentioned in the book of Bamidbar, Parshas Nasai. Each leader is bringing money, and that money, and wagons. The opening wagons, and that wagons is being used for the transporting of the Mishkan and so on. So yes, there was There was a full, it was a construction site, and it was a construction structure to be dealt with the way things have to be dealt with. That's very clear. What does that mean? But now, good. So we know already the order. What happened? Why did Moshe bless them this way, and why did he bless them that way? But what does Moshe say? He says two things. First of all, he says, "May the Shekhinah dwell in the work of your hands." This is actually what God said at the original statement about building the Mishkan. What did God say? Make me a sanctuary and I will dwell in your midst. So basically it says, may you accomplish the mission you worked for. What is that? V'i noam Hashem Elokeinu aleinu. May the pleasantness of God be upon us. What is this pleasantness of God? May, what does it say? Again, may the pleasantness of my Lord, our God, be upon us. What's the pleasantness? What is this pleasantness of God? Guys, help me out here. What is the pleasantness? The Shekhinah, one thing, and then there's the pleasantness of God. What's the pleasantness?
Joy.
What?
The joy
The joy of what?
of
The godly, the joyful God and not the angry God? or what?
well,
Or the joy of God because of our work? What is the Noyam Hashem?
the presence of God. Being
Presence
in
is
the
Shekhinah. That was mentioned before. But you see, he's changing his term. Before he just said, may the Shekhinah dwell in the work of your hands. Now he's saying, may the pleasantness of God be upon us. What's this pleasantness of Hashem? The joy of Hashem. Meaning you can have the Shekhinah, but not necessarily pleasant.
Feel good, makes you feel, I guess.
You say it every Saturday night. We start after Ma'ariv. V'noya Mashev Elokeinu aleinu. May the pleasantness of God be upon us. What are we asking for?
Maybe that's because the plan of creation was Hashem dwelling in the earth, and after golden calf, not after golden calf actually, but after building Mishkan, was coming back. His joy to be with us.
Say again. There is, so you're saying that there was what? There was one thing that the Shekhinah come back, and number two is what?
And the plan of creation was
We're holding after the golden calf. It's all done. Now Hashem gave a tournament. He asked them to build him a Mishkan. Now what?
and his coming back.
This I know.
And
This
he-
is the first part. That's
Yes.
what. That's I understand. Now what's the second part?
Hashem presence is between us.
This is the first part. May the Shekhinah dwell by the work of your hand. That part I understand very clear because that's what God said originally. Moshe is adding something. Be noyam. May the pleasantness of God be upon us. And that part is only coming when he's including himself in that prayer. When he only spoke to the people what they accomplished. He told them, may the Shekhinah dwell on the work of your hands. Now, when he's a part of it, now it's not just God, now it's the pleasantness of God should be upon us. What?
Maybe it has to do with the projection to the future. The fact that now your future is going to be guaranteed, so you can rejoice about that.
So the joy is our joy. Noam is not Noam. The Noam doesn't mean the joy of God, but our joy with God.
In knowing,
Noam Hashem.
in knowing that He will see after us.
Let's see how is it in the prayer book translated. Any difference?
I mean, there is
Page 1, V'noyam, may the pleasantness of the Lord our God be upon us. Establish for us the work of our hands, establish the work of our hands. Noyam Hashem Elokeinu aleinu. Yeah, so I guess that's what it is. In other words, it's not enough that we have the Shekhinah. We have to feel that for us, the Shekhinah lives with us, is a part of us, is something which should bring us pleasure. Not the pleasantness of God, meaning that God should be happy, like you said. And is Noyam Hashem Aleinu, it's the sweetness, the pleasantness of having God with us shall be with us. We should realize that this is the best thing that we can have. The fact that God is with us, that God is dwelling with us. This should make us pleasant. That should make us happy. That should make us joyful.
But it's also
24 hours
permanent.
Eid.
Ah,
24 hours Eid.
24 hours,
Eid.
a Yid. Yeah,
It's forever. It's
right.
permanent.
Give you an example. Remember once hearing from the Rebbe, he spoke about the difference between, he spoke about Jacob, he spoke about in Sukkot. In Sukkot, every night of Sukkot, there is the 7 Ushpizim. Right? Ushpizim. In the Zohar, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. In Lubavitch, they discovered 7 Hasidic Ushpizim, they call them. The 7 leaders, starting from the Baal Shem Tov, his successor, the Maggid of Mezrich, the Alter Rebbe, his son, the Tzemach Tzedek. This is the 7 Rebbes. On Sukkot, many years, the Rebbe used to speak about the common denominator between the Ushpizin of the Zohar and the Ushpizin of the Hasidic lineage. Like, for example, the first night was always Avram traveled a lot. The Torah talks about Avram traveling. Who is the Hasidic Ushpizin the first night? The Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov also traveled. They were both travelers, and the Rebbe used to derive a lesson from the fact that both travelers, the importance of getting out of your comfort zone and reaching out and traveling. Came to Yaakov. So Yaakov is the 3rd night, which the 3rd night of the Hasidic Ushpizin visitors is the Alter Rebbe, Reb Shneur Zalman. It was the Baal Shem Tov, he stood in the Maggid, then came the Alter Rebbe, was a student of the Maggid, and he became the founder of the Chabad movement. What is the common denominator between the Baal Shem, between Yaakov and the Alter Rebbe? So the Rebbe said that on Yaakov it says, "Yaakov ishtam yoshevu alim." Yaakov was a man dwelling in tents. As Rashi says, he was always looking to learn. The Alter Rebbe was also, what's the Alter Rebbe's life? What is he known for? His Torah. He wrote the book of Tanya. He wrote the book of Shulchan Aruch. So both share the same common denominator, both representing learning Torah, studying Torah, being involved in Torah. Then one year, the Rebbe spoke the differences between them. Not what shares the common aspect, the common denominator of them, but rather what separates and differentiates one from the other. And the Rebbe said, Yaakov was involved in Torah, but he lived a difficult life. He dealt with his brother Esau. Then he had to deal with Lavan, deceiving him with a wife, Rachel, giving him to work 7 years, another 7 years. His wife Rachel finally gave birth to a child. She dies. Yaakov had a difficulty. He learned, but he had a difficulty. The Alter Rebbe had a joyful life. Everybody looked. The Alter Rebbe had a joyful life. The Alter Rebbe was in jail. The Alter Rebbe had in-laws which did not like the fact that he went to study by the Maggid. They tried to also give him all kinds of trouble. The Alter Rebbe didn't have it such good. What does the Rebbe mean? But then the Rebbe continued. You know what the Alter Rebbe's life was? He came to the Maggid to study in Mezrich. And you know what happened, the Rebbe said? The Maggid had a lot of giant students. Later became the leaders of the Hasidic movement. think about Reb Zushaf Anetpoli, Reb Elimelech Aflizensk, Reb Levi Yitzchak Abartichev. This is like the greatest of the great. This is like the powers. And what happens? The Alter Rebbe comes, a young man. He was younger than all of them. He was the youngest. He comes from Liozne, Ashtetala, Gornish. And the Alter Rebbe says, "Oh, I'm picking you out to write a code of Jewish law." You see this book, Shulchan Aruch. I did the red. Now it's in English also, the white next to it. It's not all the volumes. There's going to be 12 volumes. We only have 5 here. This is the Code of Jewish Law written by Reb Shneur Zalman. So he was chosen by the Maggid, his teacher, to write that book. So the Rebbe says, can you imagine what kind of joy and happiness the Alter Rebbe must have had, knowing that he is the one selected from all the students to write the Alter Rebbe, to write the Shulchan Aruch. So his learning was with so much enthusiasm, with so much excitement, knowing that he is the one, nobody else. This is not arrogant. This is being happy and proud that this is what I got. I was the one. So the Rebbe said, that's learning with joy. But Yaakov was dealing with, he didn't have it, whatever about Yaakov. I'm not talking about the negative, but let's concentrate on the positive. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling the Jewish people, it's not only that Hashem is going to dwell in your work, in the work of your hands. You have to understand, you have to realize the pleasantness of God in your work. The pleasantness of God being that God picked you and gave you the opportunity to build them a Mishkan, to make him a home, and he's going to dwell in your midst, betoch kol echad ve'echad, in the midst of each and every one. This is not just the Shekhinah resting, I did my job, the Shekhinah is there, Baruch Hashem, I can move on. Move on. There were a few people, not many, a few, which were very happy to support the building of the shul. And they were very involved even at some level, with me, with the help. And once it was built, first I thought maybe they had upset on something, maybe something rubbed them wrong. And then one or two of them explained to me, Rabbi, no, we were very excited to make this project, but man, shul people, we feel that it's a necessary project for the community. We were ready to support it, and we gave money, and we went to the city, but we're not shul people. Shoshana Yom Kippur, I will come, but I thought, in my mind, people are so involved. This is a whole new group of people coming here on a Shabbos, on a weekly basis. We're going to see them. No, goodness. The first week they didn't show up. I said, what's going on? I thought you... No, one thing is to build a shul. This was needed. This was needed, and we are very happy to be a part of it, but now to sustain it, they got to find other customers. This is another. For those people, the Shekhinah dwells, that's what we have, in the work of their hand. But it's not Noyam Hashem Aleinu. It's not that the pleasantness of God is with us. They don't continue, they don't sustain it. They don't realize. They could have built the Mishkan and move on. Moshe Rabbeinu says, oh, I'm a part of you. This is not only about your work. That's what this place means to us for now, for the future, for all generations. And for that, I'm praying and blessing you. By Yivorech Ha'isam Moshe gives them a blessing. And what does it say? V'inoyam Hashem Aleikeinu Aleinu, may the pleasantness of God be upon you. May you all realize, always realize, how lucky you are, how lucky we are that we have this place and that God is with us. Let's not put it up as they say in Yiddish, alte Meise, an old thing or something happened somewhere, who knows where. It has to be with pleasantness. You have to realize that this is the best thing would have what happened to you. This is a place you can come visit every day and during the 3 major holidays. And that's when you're going to bring the Thanksgiving offering and the sin offering and the guilt offering and the all burnt offering and the peace offering. Everything is going to happen in this place. This is what God is going to communicate to us. It's all going to merge from this location. I think, Baruch Hashem, a lot of good is happening in the world, and we all have opportunities to meet with people. And then you see some people are more into it or less into it, more committed, less committed. They used to call it more affiliated, less affiliated. Baba myself. What's the core? When you get into the bottom line, what's the difference between all those people? It really has to do with one thing. Did I feel excited and happy to be in this environment or not? People are more connected to their homes, to their parents, because it was always a happy place for them. So they only have fun memories. This is the place they want to be. This is the place they want to grow. This is the place they want to imitate. There are people Nebuchadnezzar on the street, which they were not provided with that opportunity. For them, home means, a place of screaming, parents fighting with each other, calling each other's names, abuse. They're getting scared of it. I don't want to get married. People tell me, why not? Why not? Why not? I saw marriage. What did you see? What do you mean? Okay, they should have been in my house when I grew up. I don't want to be in school. I don't want to learn. All this I don't want is not really that they don't want. Every person wants to do the right thing. Every person wants to do the right thing. For some of us, it's more, excited than others. Some of us are more, ready to do the right thing than others. But ultimately, everybody wants to do the right thing. But a lot of it has to do, what experience do I have about it? Was it good for me? Was it pleasant for me? And if it's not pleasant, you have to be convincing him that it does have the opportunity to be pleasant. Moshe Rabbeinu is looking on the Jewish people and he says, V'inoyam Hashem Elokeinu Aleinu. I'm asking, we should all realize, like the Rebbe said about Alter Rebbe, realize how joyful and happy it is that we merited to be a part of a place that God gave us the opportunity to build for Him and have Him live there with us and dwell there with us. This is a tremendous pleasure. This is Noyam. If this is true, which I believe it is, we can now go back to what happens every Saturday night. You finish a midah. Usually you finish a midah, you say Oleinu, goodbye. What happens on Saturday night? Before we move anywhere, what is the first verse which utters on our mouth? Is this verse, V'i Noam Hashem Elokeinu. We ask the God, listen, you're about to start a week. You're about to embark on a week with all its challenges. But it's not just challenges. Every challenge is ultimately an opportunity. An opportunity for us to serve you, to create for you, you creating for us, and so on. And we're asking you, may we realize the pleasantness of you in our work. V'noyam Hashem Elokeinu Aleinu. May we all realize to see that this is the most pleasurable activity that we can ever be involved is being with you. We need your blessing for it. We pray for it. We ask for it. Because if you feel that godliness is pleasant, then you give it more time and you give it more attention because it's pleasant for you. If it's a burden, if it's a peckle, if it's a load that we have to carry on our shoulders, so to speak, then the moment I have an opportunity to get out of it, I will look to get out of it. You're asking in the beginning of the Noyam. We want Noyam. We want pleasantness.
Where is the Noam? Where is it, the verse?
The verse is in Tehillim 90, chapter, last verse in chapter 9. Right here.
I see.
It starts Tfilah and Maisha. Yeah, we say it every Shabbos morning also. You don't need to have a Tehillim. You see, it starts a prayer for Moses. This is in Tehillim.
Mm-hmm.
And the last line in the prayer is,
May the pleasantness of the Lord our God
I
be
didn't make
upon
up this
us.
verse. You see, I told you.
By him Noam.
Noam.
Naim.
Noam is about ni'imut, na'im. Let it be pleasant. Nishkin pekel. That's the only way to make it work. That's how the week starts. That's the blessing for the week. So like Moshe told the Jewish people, I want to tell you and tell myself, Yehi ratzon, shetishre shechina b'maaseh yedechem. The Shechina should dwell in the end of your work. V'noam Hashem Elokeinu aleinu, u'maaseh yadeinu koinen aleinu. May the pleasantness of God. I want to show you a small clip. You're going to laugh from it. But it's not a joke. Okay? Let's see. Just a second. This is people are making a cholent. Okay? A cholent.
I need to watch this.
And they putting in kishka meat in the cholent. No, it's not in here. Let's see if I have it. I did send it to my son lady one time. No. Unfortunately, I don't have it. Who else got it for me? You see people making a cholent, and this guy is putting in the kishka, the kishka in the cholent, and a group of 5 people are standing around the big pot, and they sing, V'ino yam, as they're stuffing in the kishka, Hashem Elokai, Hashem Elokai, Olayini, oy, where is that? Who got it for me? V'ino yam, let's see. No, it's probably not anymore on this, no, that's all. I changed my phone also. Okay, remember I owe you one. Be well, everybody. Laila Tov. You're very welcome. Be Noyam. All feel pleasant.
I heard that my brother called you.